And welcome back to another episode of The Wi-Fi is Out with your two hosts, Eros.
And Double T.
It took you a little bit there.
Sorry, I'm so frustrated.
So we've got a pretty spicy episode today, a little bit heated. We just got back from the Shazam movie. Oh my gosh. So spoilers coming in this episode. Lots of spoilers because we're going to be talking pretty in detail about the Shazam movie.
You know, since this is the first time we're doing a review for a movie, we should explain how we want to go forward with this. We will never talk about a movie until it's been a week out.
A week out minimum. I think this one's been 2 weeks, right? Or has it just been a week?
It's just been a week.
Just been a week. But yeah, we'll usually give something a week before we talk about it in depth, aside from just mentioning it. Just to be on the safe side, give people a chance to watch it. But my goodness, this week's we're talking about Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and it was a trip. We'll go with that. We'll go with it was a trip. Lots of criticism. And where do we want to start? Probably right at the beginning.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so it starts off, and I was pretty pumped. I've been excited because I saw the first Shazam, and I thought it was really good. I love the entertainment value. I love the storyline, the writing, all that. I loved the designs, like how they portrayed the characters and everything, and it was fantastic. And then I went and saw Black Adam, because, Black Adam is really closely related to Shazam. And I was super excited for that as well. And it was great. I thought it was entertaining. Like, they did a good job on how The Rock portrayed Black Adam, in my personal opinion. And they did an amazing job with, like, the villains in that movie as well. And it was great. And then I figured, Shazam, Fury of the Gods would be Black Adam versus Shazam. And it wasn't, to my severe disappointment.
So, before we go forward,
okay,
I want to kind of explain how Black Adam connects to Shazam.
Yes, please do.
It's basically like there was a Green Goblin movie, right?
Okay.
And at the end of the movie, you got teased with Iron Man instead of Spider-Man. It's like, oh, okay, he might show up in the Spider-Man movie coming out. The Spider-Man movie has no Green Goblin, because the Green Goblin doesn't want to be anywhere close to Spider-Man.
To put it in the real world terms, essentially, at the end of the Black Adam movie, for anyone who hasn't seen it, spoiler, this whole episode will be spoilers, which I'm reiterating again, but that's fine. End of the Black Adam movie, you see Superman come in, and so you're like, okay, well, we're going to get Superman in with Shazam against Black Adam, which has been done before. And I thought it would be a really cool movie. But it turns out that the actor for Black Adam, I guess, would prefer for his arch nemesis or rival or whatever movie he wants to do to be Superman and not Shazam, where Shazam and Black Adam are essentially counterparts to each other, the same as the Green Goblin and Spider-Man.
Joker and Batman.
Yeah, Joker,
Superman
Batman.
and Lex Luthor.
Like, they go hand in hand. So it made sense that we get a Shazam movie and a Black Adam movie, and then it's like, oh my god, Shazam versus Black Adam. They did a great job on, like, introducing both of the characters. The actors are fantastic. This is going to be amazing. And we don't get that. Instead we get Shazam versus the three daughters of Atlas, which are not well known.
From my knowledge, they don't even appear in the comics, except for one of them. But I'm pretty sure two of them were for the movies.
So it just doesn't make any sense to me, because Black Adam would essentially teach Shazam throughout the course of the movie, like, the importance of, knowing his powers and being, Shazam. But we get that with the Daughters of Atlas, the three of them. And it wasn't even like they were... I don't think they were portrayed well. I really don't. Because you have one that's, in charge of energy. Like, they at least portrayed them well from the actual mythology aspect and tried to put them into the superhero universe. But you have one that's completely in control of energy, one that's completely in control of chaos, and her whole shtick is just whispering into your ears and breaking your mind just by whispering to you, which doesn't make any freaking sense. And then the third one just is basically Doctor Strange with the ability to just warp reality. And and it doesn't even work out for her. It doesn't even help her. She has this whole ability to warp reality and go anywhere she wants. And then it just doesn't end well, which we'll get to in a minute. But that's the movie. That's the movie that I walked into expecting Black Adam and Shazam and getting that, which is not even close.
See, I was expecting the previous villain to come back because they did a whole post-credit scene with him meeting Mr. Mind, the Caterpillar. And they were supposed to make this evil league of magic people, which, as we've learned, magic beats magic, which also would have been a good counterfeit to the Shazam family.
So, I guess we'll start from the beginning again. I do have some positive things because a lot of my review on this movie and my thoughts on where DC could go from this are pretty negative. So I'll start with the positive aspects. They brought back all the same characters, which I thought was great for all the characters that we'd been introduced to, which is good. They aren't changing all their characters like they have for other DC movies. They were still witty. There was still a lot of entertainment value in the movie. Like, I laughed quite a bit. I had a couple eye rolls moments, but I did laugh quite hard. As well as they still had moments that I felt were well portrayed in the first movie, family-based wise, and him, like, the character is still growing and trying to essentially be kids. Like, they're still kids, but they're trying to play superhero. You know, they're trying to actually take being a superhero seriously while trying to balance their life, which is something that we get with Spider-Man, and Spider-Man did it really well, and they, I think, did an equally good job.
I thought that was one of the best parts, is because in these groups of superheroes, we don't really see them dealing with their personal lives. We only see them dealing with their work lives.
Yeah, with the actual, like, job. Which, I mean, because we didn't even get that in, like, Avengers, to be fair. Like, when we got Avengers, the actual, like, the whole movie itself, we didn't see a lot of their individual problems on a whole spectrum. We just saw, like, maybe one or two kind of behind the scenes, like, dealing with issues. Whereas in this one, like, each one of them kind of had something going on, and you got to delve more into their backstory, which I thought was fantastic. Do you have anything that you thought was positive from the movie? Besides those? Because that was kind of all I got out of it. That was it. And I want to make sure that we get all the positivity out of the way so I can, like, really, really go in on this movie.
At least it wasn't as dark as the previous DC movies have been.
It was definitely on the lighter side. Like, both the Shazam movies were pretty light and hearty.
Not every hero has to be a Batman.
Oh, especially. So, now for the negative stuff. What was the earliest negative thing you have to talk about?
I was completely fine with this movie until we got to the ad. That is...
Oh, mine goes on way before that, so I'll go first. We'll talk about the advertisement in a minute, because I gotta go ham on that one. Mine was the issue of, oh my gosh, and I just had it too, and now I'm forgetting it. Oh, the daughter of chaos, the daughter of energy, and the daughter of, I'm just going to say reality, because I can't remember if they used reality or if they used a different terminology for it, are essentially on a rooftop with Freddy, who is Billy Batson, a.k.a. Shazam's, essentially like second in command, right-hand man, like his buddy from the first movie that's, you know, in the crutch. They take his superpowers, and then in front of him, the daughter of chaos whispers into his teacher's ear, who had literally moments before in the movie saved him from getting, like, dumped in a trash can, and, like, you could tell that this was the teacher that was Freddy's, like, whole support system in school when he was getting bullied and harassed, whispered into this man's ear to jump off of a building and, you know, just not make it to the third movie, essentially, in front of him, after taking his powers, instead of just leaving him alone, because they took the powers and could have just simply left, because they had the ability to do literally anything at that point, and he really couldn't do anything because he doesn't have any superpowers. So they take his superpowers, stop his teacher from, making it to the third movie, and then proceed to, use him as a freaking hostage when Shazam actually shows up with his family, and then nothing gets done. They spend the next 2 minutes of the movie floating into the air, creating this giant magic bubble as Shazam races up to save his buddy who's being held hostage without his powers, so it's not like he can even, keep himself alive. And that could have just been the end of the movie. They could have just offed the actual character instead of offing some side teacher. And it really got to me. It made no sense to off the teacher.
By the way, didn't this feel like a Freddy movie, not a Billy Batson Shazam movie?
That was another thing. It did. Everything was centered around Freddy. So the first one was centered around Billy Batson. The second one seems to be centered a lot around Freddy growing and, being a very prominent character. But it was like they were fighting back and forth. It's like they had two writers in there, and one of them was like, this is Shazam. It needs to be about Shazam. And the other one was like, well, there's 6 of them now, so why don't we make each one from a different point of view focus? And they kept just fighting back and forth over the script and kept bouncing the point of view back and forth. And it didn't work for me. Because there was so much drama around Freddy and Thea, I believe, was the pronunciation of the name. Anthea.
Or Anne.
We'll just go with Anne. But around those two, if they want to do a switching perspective where the first one's Billy Batson, the second one's going to be Freddy, the third one's going to be one of the other characters, they could have made it to where Billy Batson lost his powers and not Freddy. Or they take the powers from the other 4 and have Billy Batson and Freddy have to team up and work through their differences, where Freddy was trying to be solo and Billy was trying to be over controlling, and they have to work together and use actual teamwork and be like, okay, I gotta follow you instead of you following me all the time. And that would have been a fantastic plot point in the movie. But they didn't. They took Freddy's powers right off the bat, and then just were like, yeah, you're gonna be a cool character, and you're gonna stand up for yourself, but you have no powers, and you can't do anything, and you're just kind of there. You just kind of walk around a limp. And then we're gonna have you sneak in to steal the golden apple that the sisters needed, and then the last second you're gonna screw it up, and they're not even gonna kill you on the spot, which they should have.
Oh, not only does he screw it up, his family comes to save him, gets the staff that gives the powers back, and then they just throw it.
Yeah.
So one of the daughters of Atlas catches it and is like, thanks for it back, mine.
Yeah, so to put it in perspective, Billy, with all of his intelligence, his super speed, his super strength, his forethought of knowing dumb
the wisdom
stuff,
of Solomon,
the wisdom of salmon, decides to steal the spear, and then when they're not safe and Freddy's across the room from him, and between him and Freddy are essentially just the 3 sisters, he's like, hey Freddy, catch, and then throws the staff, as if he doesn't just understand that they have ears and they can see what he's doing, and there's no other reason he would say catch other than he's gonna throw it to Freddy, who can't move fast because he doesn't have his powers, and he throws it, and the sister just grabs it again, and it's that was a waste of 10 minutes of movie time, because what happened there? They achieved nothing. They still don't have the apple. They don't have the staff again. And they're just back in the same predicament. So you just gave us 10 minutes of nothing for that. For a joke, I guess? It wasn't even that funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, and then you had another scene later down where Freddy still doesn't have his powers. The sisters took the powers, or the sister with the power of chaos took the powers of the sister with the powers of reality, and then is proceeding to kill them or try to, stop them from making it to the third movie with a dragon. A fire-breathing dragon, whose entire, shtick is that it entices so much fear in you that you physically unable to move if you're mortal. And they proceed to have a 3-minute screaming match between a girl on her dragon and these 2 children. And then they let that go on for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then Shazam comes in and like grabs the dragon's tail before the dragon eats them, when the dragon could have just breathed fire on them in the first second. Or instead of having a screaming match that didn't make any sense, because the dragon wouldn't care. The dragon would just be like, "Oh, you told me to kill him, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna like eat him. The boom, done. It's over. Cool. Move on to the next thing." They could have just had Shazam flying super fast, like right after Freddy started moving through the fear, like prove like, "I'm stronger than the average human. I'm an actual like strong person and I care." And then Shazam flies in and knocks the dragon out instead of like giving us this 3-minute like scream scene.
Exactly.
I'm very passionate about that part because it made no sense.
And now we can finally talk about the part where I'm mad at.
So the advertisement scenes, not even scene, scenes.
So I was completely fine with the Tree of Life making monsters, because it's what superhero movies do, is they make a bunch of random enemies, like for minions, ads, if you play video games, that the heroes have to deal with, or the humans in society.
And to be fair, in mythology, if you do plant the seed not in the realm of the gods, it does become, I wouldn't say like contaminated, there's a different word for it that I can't think of off the top of my head, but like cursed, like it does things that it shouldn't do. But anyway, continue.
That's fine, but my sense of belief for this movie got broken so many times, I don't care.
It's part of the movie.
So, they figure out how to control
through Steve,
the magic pen.
The magic pen inside the magic library that the smartest character in the team didn't know about.
So, they figure out unicorns are the way to herd these monsters.
Because every monster is scared of unicorns.
So they go find a unicorn. And the way they tame it is with ambrosia. But humans don't have access to ambrosia.
Not the way you tame it. The way that what it likes is caves and ambrosia. And ambrosia is the nectar of the gods, which is a golden-like substance that's, honey-esque. Very, very sweet.
Yes, I played Hades.
Okay. I was just explaining it more for the audience.
And apparently, ambrosia in the human world is Skittles. Taste the rainbow. Was said multiple times.
Yeah, they didn't even want us to taste the rainbow once for the joke, because I thought like, okay, like haha, rolled my eyes a little bit at that part, because I'm like, they threw in an ad. That was a Skittles ad. That was straight up a Skittles ad. But then they threw it in the second time,
where they did the cheeky moment where they said the catchphrase, and then we're going to say Mother
Flumper for terminology.
But they cut straight to the next scene.
They said mother, and then you got the F of Flumper from what I would assume is like the 10-year-old girl. I don't know her age.
She is the youngest.
The youngest actress on the scene in the team of 6 was the one who was saying it. So it's insinuated that they had her cursing in the movie.
So once I saw that, I realized this whole second part of the movie was completely worthless. We see them later having herded probably like 30 to 50 monsters, and they all disappear. I was like, so the whole point of that to me was just an ad.
Yeah, pretty much.
It did not seem clever.
It would have been different if they at least had like 1 or 2 of them with their power still. Because, okay, so given at this point in the movie, 5 of the 6 of them no longer have their powers. So they had to figure out how to herd or how to group up a whole bunch of mythological beings, such as like minotaurs and harpies and stuff, and get them like away from the humans in the city without their powers. And the best course of action was, let's ask the magic pen that knows all what they're scared of, and it was unicorns. And it didn't matter. It didn't do anything because there was no entertainment value behind it. The only entertaining thing was the first line of Taste the Rainbow for the Skittles advertisement, which I guarantee you they got paid a pretty penny to do that.
I'm pretty sure in movies, these companies pay the movie, so that's where they get some of the money from to have their product in the movie. But most of the time, you just see the character drinking like a Coca-Cola every once in a while.
They even mentioned Gatorade. They even specifically mentioned Gatorade instead of just like an energy drink or, like just saying like, oh, a sports drink. They specifically went out of their way to mention Gatorade and then mention a second time by having one of the goddesses be like, what's Gatorade?
That was probably, I don't know the exact amount, but let's just say $50,000, either paying the company to use their name or the company paying Shazam to have it in their movie.
Okay.
It's either one of those two. That's how ads work in movies, which most of the time does not bother me because they have to drink something, so it's like, okay.
Well, yeah, but what I was getting at there, what I was trying to get at there more so is because you don't actually see the Gatorade, you just hear the name. And in fact, I don't think Gatorade was even mentioned after that, but they went out of their way and they probably got paid some money, which is fine because they need to make their money to produce the movie. And I was hoping the movie was going to be good. So they mention the name of Gatorade, whereas Skittles, they not only show the product a couple times and mention it 3 times throughout the movie, because you had it at the beginning where the girl was like, did you put Skittles in my pocket? Oh yeah, it was for later. They do that at the beginning of the movie, and then at the very end, twice use their catchphrase.
I think she was eating them throughout the movie, too.
And she was probably eating them throughout the movie, which, I mean, yeah, they're trying to give her, I guess, because, I mean, kids love candy. I love candy, and I'm an adult at this point. But it was too much for the second time. I can understand the first time saying tasting it. The second time really got to me, because there was no reason for it. It's just none. There was no reason. For like half of the movie, the second half of the movie, you could genuinely just cut it out and have it to where like Billy Batson just appears from the freaking grave with Wonder Woman there all of a sudden, and it would make more sense. I genuinely feel like you could cut that movie down to like 10 minutes and it would make a lot more sense. And then the end. And then the end, you have Wonder Woman, which she showed up before and she was mentioned before. A lot, actually. A lot of the time, Wonder Woman was mentioned in the movie, which is fine, because I think Shazam probably has something for Wonder Woman in the comics, so it would make sense.
I understood why. In that world, she's probably a celebrity. People fanboy over celebrities. It makes sense.
And she's also, it's not like she's hiding her identity. Like, you can see her face clear as day, so it makes sense that she would be more well-known than, like, Marvel superheroes, like Spider-Man stuff. Like, they know the character, but they don't really know the face, so it doesn't kind of have the same hype. But she just shows up at the end, unannounced, given you're supposed to, like, insinuate that she was sent a letter to show up at some point, just not at the specific point that she shows up. And she just kind of shows up and brings Billy Batson back from the grave, who died in the movie, who canonically died in the movie. Straight up, they killed him off. And then probably realized afterwards, like, oh wait, we need to make more of these, because he's actually a really entertaining character to a lot of people. How do we bring him back? Bring Wonder Woman back, who's technically a demigod, or just a god? Demigod. Have her power the staff that's supposed to only be powered by true gods, but can be powered by her because she's half god, which, whatever, I'll allow it in my own mind. But I feel like if a staff's supposed to be powered by the power of a true god, it should be a true god, not a demigod. But whatever. And then she just kind of like, there's this awkward like talk scene between Shazam and Wonder Woman, and then you think they're going to kiss, and you don't want them to because he's still technically canonically under 18 as a kid in the movie. But it's like, it's gotta happen for entertainment value.
They threw that out. One of the daughters of Atlas was like 6,000 years old, and we see them holding hands, so it insinuates that they were dating.
But technically, we don't know yet if Freddy was under 18. Because actually, isn't it? Wasn't it told in the first movie that he was younger than?
Yeah, he's 1 month younger than Billy.
Okay, so yeah, he's under 18. He's now with a 6,000-year-old goddess. Given gods and goddesses in mythology and stuff do a lot worse. But even still, they didn't have to mention it. They could have just let it slide under the radar since the actors look close enough in age that it was like, okay, this makes sense. Like, this is fine. Whatever. But then you have like this whole scene where Shazam and Wonder Woman are like, kind of like talking a little bit. You can tell that Shazam wants a kiss. And Wonder Woman's clearly not interested in him. And he even goes as far to be like, hey, Wonder Woman, and I'm paraphrasing this just because I don't remember the exact, like, word for word. But he's like, hey, Wonder Woman, so I know that I have, like, the power of your dad surging through me. But it doesn't mean we're related. And it's like, why? What is the point of that, dude? It doesn't make, it's so cringe. It doesn't even make any sense.
So that was Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
And you have 2 cutscenes afterwards. Oh, sorry, you have something else?
What would you rate it before we talk about the post-credit scenes?
Okay.
Because that, I consider technically like a different part of the movie shouldn't be rated with it.
Okay, I can understand that. I would say, if I had to go on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm saying a 4, man. Like, I really, really dislike the movie.
I'd go 6. It's not
6.
It's not bad, but definitely with what we know in the real world, it could have been better.
It definitely could.
But as a standalone movie, it's fine.
That's the thing, though. It's not standalone. It's technically a sequel, which it's a standalone 2 movies. But it was worse. The first one I thought was great. And they couldn't really have gotten worse because there was some childish humor because that's what he is. He's a child. This one somehow managed to dip so low below that movie that I don't like it. I genuinely never want to watch that movie again because it was so disappointing.
So, okay. Post-credit scenes. The second one was just a teaser as to why the first villain in the team of sorcerers didn't show up. Fun gag of a caterpillar takes too long to go travel.
Yeah, which I can understand. Wasn't worth waiting till the end of the movie, but it was kind of funny.
The second, or the first one is where I kind of have a problem.
Okay, what was your problem with it?
I've heard that it was supposed to be Hawkman and Cyclone from the Black Adam movie showing up to talk to Shazam. But they weren't allowed to show up. So they had to scramble and get the 2 agents from Peacemaker to show up.
And they did a funny bit. I'll give you that. They did a funny bit. You want to join the Justice? Yes, I want to join the Justice. Yeah, the Justice Society. And it's like, he doesn't want to join that.
That was fine.
It was funny.
It could have been better, though. That's what I'm trying to... Because if heroes came to talk to them and showed off their powers, he probably would have been more impressed with the Justice Society.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to say is, for a theory, I feel like this was a really big step in the wrong direction for DC. They have access to Black Adam, given what the statements The Rock has made about it and his preference of having Superman be his main counterpart, which doesn't make sense because, Black Adam smacks the ever-living fudge out of Superman 10 times out of 10 because Superman is weak to magic and literally just can't beat magic without help from other people. If they continue to just let movies like this where they have it set up for a Shazam versus Black Adam movie, and then it doesn't go through and they have to scramble and find we're going to get the Daughters of Atlas, who probably aren't mentioned in comics or not enough to be known by a larger group of people, unless you're hardcore into them and maybe they're mentioned somewhere deep down in the archives. Or you have to just pull some other obscure mythological figure out of thin air to make a movie. Because there are other mythological figures they could have had that maybe would have been a little more okay, well, we didn't get Black Adam, but this is acceptable. This movie was it was so bad. I didn't like it. I still recommend, like, if you enjoy the movies, if you happen to like want to buy it on, like, watch it if you want to, because it did have some good moments. But I have such a hard time because my expectations were set too high with the Black Adam movie, and it made too much sense.
Especially since they were back-to-back movies, too.
They were back-to-back. Like, we literally just had Black Adam, and now we're getting Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So it just made sense. Like, they both would have been filming their movies around the same time, or like it would have been like the end of Black Adam filming and the start of Shazam filming, and so you just like move him over. Even just give us like a cameo or something, just something. But we got nothing.
Final question. Will this stop you from watching James Gunn, what was Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters? Because this is still technically not part of the universe, but at the same time still counts.
I think I'll still try to watch it, but I don't think I can watch it. I don't think I can watch a third Shazam movie unless I can get confirmation that we're getting Black Adam in it, because that is a fight I was so looking forward to. And I can't think of another super villain that I would rather see him fight more, or another like plot line that would be more entertaining to see. Because we're not going to get like Shazam versus any of the Avengers, because 9 times out of 10 Shazam's probably going to win, and it wouldn't make any sense because you don't have, or not the Avengers, the Justice League. Oh my goodness, they made an Avengers joke in Shazam, and it threw me off because I've been thinking about that the whole time. We're not going to get Shazam versus anyone in the Justice League because it wouldn't make sense. And if we get a Shazam with the Justice Society movie, I genuinely think I'm just going to stop watching DC at that point. I genuinely think I'll just never watch DC again if we get a Shazam with Justice Society and not Justice League.
Okay.
That's all I have. That's everything. Like, I had just a really long rant. I'm sorry, I took up like most of the time today.
You were definitely more mad about it than I was.
I was more opinionated. It was too much. It was too much hype. Poor execution.
It's what I expect of DC at this moment.
I expected better.
I am waiting till the very first TV show or movie that the Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters start. Because we still have The Flash, Aquaman 2, and Blue Beetle to go before it officially starts.
I guess, to be fair, they haven't started the revamp of the DC, so I should have expected something like this. But I was really hoping they would do better. Because, like, they could have.
The next movie, The Flash, is supposed to be a universe reset.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. I expect the next few movies to hopefully be better. I don't have anything else other than I don't think they will. You have any last few comments? Otherwise, we're just going to say goodbye.
No, that's it.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Hi.